Welcome, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here with me today. We are going to embark on this incredible journey of discovery together, so buckle up. Today's explainer is called The Explorer's Toolkit, Mastering Foundational Science. We're going to break down the absolute essentials of how we actually understand the universe around us. And look, I really want you to pay close attention, because I am absolutely keeping you on your toes today. At the very end of this explainer, we're going to do a rapid-fire 10-question quiz to test exactly what you've picked up along the way. It's going to be a ton of fun, and it will perfectly lock in all this new knowledge. So, let's get into it.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. First, what is science? Second, your science laboratory. Third, the scientific method. Fourth, understanding density. And finally, number 5, that rapid-fire science quiz I just promised you.
All right, let's jump right into section 1. What is science? We're talking about the foundational philosophy here.
So if we strip away all the complex equations and the giant textbooks, what is it really? Well, science is simply a discipline that involves systematic observations and experiments of natural phenomena. That's it. It's all about looking at the natural world, asking, why does that happen, and then testing your ideas systematically. This isn't just some abstract academic thing, you know? This exact process of systematic observation is literally why we have towering skyscrapers through engineering, why we have satellites up there making global communication lightning fast, and why we have vaccines and antibiotics controlling infectious diseases. Every single one of these modern marvels, the whole shebang, started with someone just observing a natural phenomenon and deciding to experiment. It's like a giant puzzle, and science is how we piece it together.
Okay, moving right along to section 2, your science laboratory. Let's look at the physical gear and tools. Now, you might look at a science lab and just see a bunch of random glass tubes, but every single piece has a distinct, vital function. The right tool for the right job is the first rule of the lab. For instance, look at the pipette. You'd use this when you need to measure a very fixed, specific volume of liquid. No guessing. But if you need to measure a volume incredibly accurately, say you're going drop by drop, well, actually you wouldn't use a pipette for that. You'd switch to the burette. Meanwhile, your standard measuring cylinder, that's your go-to for just general volume measurements of a liquid. And what about when things get hot? You definitely don't just hold a regular glass tube over an open flame. No way. You use a boiling tube to heat small amounts of chemicals, and you absolutely must, this is crucial, use a wire gauze underneath it. The wire gauze spreads that heat evenly so your glassware doesn't shatter into a million pieces. Which brings us to the second rule of the lab, safety. Safety is paramount, and that means mastering the universal language of hazard symbols. You really have to memorize these. See the explosive symbol? That warns you that a chemical easily vaporizes and is highly flammable, so you keep it far, far away from any heat source. Then there's the corrosive symbol. This one is no joke. It means the substance will literally burn your skin on contact. Do not touch it. An irritant symbol means the stuff gives out fumes that will hurt your eyes, your nose, and your throat. And of course, radioactive materials emit cancer-causing rays. Knowing these symbols isn't just about passing a science test, right? It's about protecting yourself and everyone else in the room while you're busy exploring these natural phenomena.
All right, gears on, safety is checked. Section 3, the scientific method. This is our standard operating procedure.
The scientific method is essentially a continuous 9-step cycle. Let's look at the first 5 steps. Everything, and I mean everything, always starts with step 1, identify a problem. You notice something in the natural world that you just don't understand. Next, step 2, you construct a hypothesis. Think of this as your highly educated guess about what's actually going on. Step 3 is absolutely crucial. Control your variables. You have to make sure you're only testing one specific thing at a time to get accurate results. If you change too many things, you won't know what caused what. Once that's settled, step 4 is to plan your experiment, picking out the precise apparatus we just talked about. And finally, step 5, you roll up your sleeves and you conduct the experiment.
But listen, conducting the experiment is really only half the battle. As you experiment, you move straight into step 6, collect your data. And then, step 7, you analyze and interpret that data. You look at the numbers and ask, does this match my educated guess? This leads perfectly into step 8, making a conclusion. Basically, was your hypothesis right or wrong? And finally, and honestly this might be the most important step for the scientific community as a whole, step 9, write a report. Because science doesn't exist in a vacuum. By writing a report, you share your findings so that other explorers out there can learn from your work, verify it, or build upon it. That completes the cycle.
Let's apply this to a real concept. Section 4, understanding density. This is such a fascinating topic. So what is it?
Density is defined as the mass per unit volume of a material. If you like formulas, density equals mass divided by volume. When we calculate this, we're usually measuring the mass in grams and the volume in cubic centimeters. So that gives us the unit of grams per cubic centimeter. Essentially, to put it simply, density just tells us how tightly packed the matter is within a specific object. And this ratio, this single mathematical relationship, completely dictates whether an object is going to sink or float when you drop it into a liquid.
Let's put that into perspective by comparing some materials side by side. We use pure water as our baseline, sitting at a density of exactly 1.00. Here's the golden rule. Anything with a higher number is going to sink in water, and anything with a lower number is going to float. Look at mercury. It's an incredibly dense liquid at 13.60, and copper is a super dense solid at 8.92. If you drop copper in water, it plummets straight to the bottom, no hesitation. But look over at the lower density materials. Petrol is 0.80, ice is 0.92, which you'll notice is just slightly less than water. And cork? Cork is so incredibly low in density that it will happily bob at the very top of almost any liquid you put it in.
And the amazing thing is, density dictates so much of our daily lives. Think about it. When you order an iced juice, the juice itself actually has a higher density than the ice cubes, which is exactly why the ice floats right at the top of your glass. Or consider the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea contains this massive amount of salt, which gives the water a phenomenally high density. Because that salt water is far denser than a human body, you can float effortlessly on the surface without even trying to swim. It's wild. We even use this concept industrially. Massive heavy timber logs are less dense than water. So instead of loading up fleets of trucks, loggers can just roll these massive trees right into a river and let the current naturally transport them downstream. I mean, that is applied science in action.
All right, Section 5, the rapid-fire science quiz. It's time to test that rapid-fire knowledge.
I promised you a challenge, so get ready to use your new Explorer's Toolkit. I'm going to read through these 10 questions rapidly. I want you to literally shout out the answers at your screen, or at least lock them firmly into your mind before we reveal the key on the next slide. Ready? Let's do this. Number 1. What is the discipline that involves systematic observations of natural phenomena? Number 2. Which apparatus do you use to measure a perfectly fixed liquid volume? Number 3. What does the hazard symbol that causes skin burns actually mean? Number 4. What is the very first step of the scientific method? Number 5. And what is the final step, step 9, where you share your work? Number 6. What is the definition of density? Number 7. Will copper, with the density of 8.92, sink or float in water, which has a density of 1.00? Number 8. Why do people float so easily in the Dead Sea? Number 9. What does the explosive hazard symbol mean? And finally, number 10. What apparatus do you place under a boiling tube to spread heat evenly? Okay, got your answers locked in? Let's see how you did.
Let's review these answers together. 1. That discipline is science. 2. Measuring a fixed liquid volume, you need a pipette. 3. If it causes skin burns, that chemical is corrosive. 4. Step 1 is always to identify a problem. 5. Step 9 is write a report. 6. Density is mass per unit volume. 7. Copper will definitely sink because 8.92 is way greater than 1.00. 8. People float because the Dead Sea is high-density salt water. 9. Explosive means it easily vaporizes and is flammable. And 10. You absolutely use a wire gauze to spread that heat evenly. So how'd you do? How many of these core concepts did you manage to lock into your memory? If you got most of them right, you are for sure well on your way to becoming a master explorer. To wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. How will you use the scientific method and your newfound understanding of natural phenomena to explore the universe around you today? You see, science isn't just something that happens hidden away in a laboratory with a pipette and a wire gauze. It happens right in your kitchen when you notice the ice floating in your juice. It happens outside when you step out the door and observe the weather. You now have the Explorer's Toolkit. The universe is unbelievably fascinating, and it's just sitting there waiting for you to systematically observe it. So keep asking those questions, keep testing your hypotheses, and whatever you do, never stop learning. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will catch you on the next explainer.